And with the NFT holders itself, they feel like they're part of the brand because they own that ownership aspect. So hypothetically, if the Husky brand gets massive in the future, the NFT, they could sell the NFT for increase in profit. So they have incentive to work with the brand. So that really generates that word of mouth marketing aspect, which all brands are looking for. And so the name of the game really isn't getting the customer, although it's incredibly important. The name of the game is retaining the customer. So with NFTs, because of the ownership aspect of the customer, they don't really shop anywhere else. Because so not only do you get the first customer, but you get them coming back to your store every time you have a new specific drop. And the second reason why I think crypto is not mass adopted or is taking forever is overall user interface. And I've been in crypto for a while, and if any of your listeners have been in crypto for a while, and that they're being honest with themselves, they'll tell you that the user interface within crypto is just terrible. Like, for example, like you're like, where's my money? It's not showing up. Okay, who do I ask? There's no customer support. Okay, I have to go on Reddit and find this a very specific issue that this one person had years ago. So like, it's not usable for like my mother, my grandma.
Hi, my name is Rahi and I am an e-commerce retention expert. I welcome you all to the third episode of Retention with Rahi. Let me introduce my guest today. It's Eric McHugh. He is the president of SHOPX Web3 e-commerce and chief growth officer of dating and AI-powered matchmaking. Earlier, Eric founded a SaaS platform, worked as a consultant for Fortune 500 companies, helped Snap optimize their ad algorithm, supported research team at Carnegie Mellon University in their dark matter research, and much, much more. This is what we will find out on the call. So please join me in welcoming Eric McHugh, who will be sharing some tips and insights on marketing for e-commerce brands and email marketing in the Web3 environment. So Eric, welcome to the platform. So if you can walk us through, like the first question, because what you do is very innovative and it's very much on the cutting edge of technology. So many of the listeners might not understand fully like how Web3 loyalty and ShopX fits in together. So if you can give a brief and how you see and what ShopX does in the Web3 environment. So
Sure. Robbie, thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to be here. Happy to give you a brief overview of what ShopX is. But before that, for your listeners, I'd like to just give a brief overview of what Web 1 is, Web 2 is, Web 3 is, and then we can jump into ShopX just because I think that makes sense. In terms of Web 1, I want your listeners to think of read only. Meaning in Web 1, either of us could go on an internet site and we could read content. Web 2 is read and write. So think of social media like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that jazz. So in Web 2, we could read content. So we can read other people's Instagram posts, this podcast, and we can also write or create our own content. So on Instagram, we can create the content. Our followers can read the content. The downside is we don't own the content, meaning those social media platforms like Instagram, YouTube, they monetize the data. They can cancel at any point in time because they own the content. And I view Web3 as a crypto-based internet. And so in Web3, you can read, write, and you can own the content. So in Web3, like for example, I could read content, I could write content, but I could also create content that me and the listener own. And that funnel is through NFTs. So in terms of ShopX, I want you to think of the Google or Apple of Web3. Long term, we're going to be a suite of products for an e-commerce brand to download an app and then interact in Web3, and depending on their business needs or the product they choose, earn different Web3 benefits. We have 2 products live right now. The first is Reserve X. So that's NFT powered loyalty programs. So in terms of e-commerce stores, there are 4 major ones. I would say Shopify and WooCommerce are the 2 largest, followed by BigCommerce and Salesforce Commerce. So if you're a brand on Shopify or WooCommerce, you can download the ShopX app, get the appropriate amount of tokenized software licenses. So for the first of its kind, our tokens function as software licenses. So if your brand wanted to use our products and services, you have to get a specific amount. And then directly from within your Shopify app, you as an e-commerce brand, you can launch your own NFT collection with e-commerce value for your customers. So we've created a no-code solution. So from directly within the app, within less than 5 minutes, all you have to do is fill out 2 simple forms, launch your NFT collections, and we're already integrated with your Shopify store, so you can add e-commerce products to that NFT collection. So in terms of... Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of like product selection, because when we looked at loyalty program based NFTs, so one is NFT is what we know NFT is mostly for digital creative stuff, like more paintings and like creative stuff or like creative property, digital property. It was not much there in the physical space that you like if some store is selling like what kind of like two questions are there, but we go one by one. So first is what kind of stores will have the implementation, like it will be fashion store, a digital product store, or the implementation is only for crypto only stores, or how is it works? So
No, the implementation for stores, it's really for everyone. And the
okay.
beauty of our technology is we're simply a bridge for e-commerce brands to enter the space.
Okay.
And how they want to use their technology, it's totally up to them. So I can go over three different use cases for you. I'd like to go over the enterprise use case,
Okay.
the mid-size use case, and the small mom and
Sure.
pop use case, just because those three angles work best. So
Yeah.
I would say our enterprise use case is probably our biggest client is Fox Studios and their
Okay.
new show Krapopolis. If you watch Rick and Morty, it's the same
Yeah.
creator.
Yeah.
So the Krapopolis creators, they created an NFT collection called the Crap Chicken.
Okay.
And those NFT holders get specific access to specific perks involving the show.
Okay.
So I'm a Crap Chicken holder.
Okay.
I get exclusive access to merch. I get a vote on what happens in the show.
Yeah.
My Crab Chicken may show up in the show. And this is all to design brand loyalty. So they actually launched a collection, made millions of dollars selling those NFTs prior to the release of the show.
Okay.
And the important thing is they did this all prior to the release of the show. So they had a big fan base going into day one. So within their first episode, it was Super Bowl Sunday, they actually smashed a bunch of records in viewership
Yeah.
because they used NFTs to create that loyalty aspect prior to the release of the show.
Okay. Okay.
So that's our enterprise example.
Yeah.
And I would say my favorite mid-sized example is from a halfware store in Los Angeles. It's called the Mag Park.
Okay.
They're fantastic. They're a mid-sized brand. So their business model is first of all, it's a really family-owned business. Or it feels like family. Like their customers, the guy has a basketball hoop in the store.
Okay.
The kids come in to play a shoot. Like they're homies. So
Okay.
so his biggest issue is he'd release a custom like hat. Like it's like custom hats. They would
Okay.
then
Limited edition
once it-
stuff.
very very limited edition.
Okay.
And then from there, e-commerce bots would come in. They'd buy up all the inventory in less than like instantaneously.
Okay.
And then the loyal customers like waiting outside the store, he doesn't get the hat.
Okay.
So what they did is they launched a gold, silver, bronze style pass. So each different pass, they get different e-commerce benefits. So like the gold pass could get free products, discounted products, early access to products.
Okay.
And this is a way to ensure that his loyal customers are able to purchase the hat or whatever product he adds to the pass. So
Okay.
if you're a pass holder, you get access to a specific section of the Discord. You communicate with the brand. You help with hat designs. Again,
Okay.
driving that customer loyalty.
Yeah.
So during
Yeah. Please.
during test, oh yeah, and so during our testing with that project,
Okay.
since botting is a major issue in the e-commerce industry for
Yeah.
specific brands,
Yeah.
we actually hired a team of botters who make a living from botting stores checkouts,
Okay.
and so they weren't able to break our software system and get to the product checkout. They actually claimed it's better than Nike, so we helped solve his bot problem.
Okay. Yeah. Like so for hardware it will be like for physical products it will be like limited store, and every product will be a different this thing like there is a limited edition where the NFT token and what I want to understand is maybe from like loyalty, it's with the product you get an NFT token, or NFT token is the ownership of NFT token is the product itself, or loyalty program is a pointer system or anything like that. Because my understanding is that for every product you release an NFT token and customer owns that NFT token, or it's something like a regular loyalty program where there is a points, there is a different tiers and all those things, like how it's
So to answer your question, with Reserve, so we have two. Down the line, we're coming out with another product. It's called SourceX.
Okay.
And what that does, it's attaching an ENFT to each individual product SKU. So, and again, we're in development with this, but imagine you're Nike. You have a million product SKUs,
Yeah.
you attach a ENFT to each individual product.
Yeah.
So as the customer, when he purchases that product, he also is able to claim that ENFT token.
Okay.
And so as Nike, there's many different benefits. So you could track that product throughout all of its history, meaning like it sold once, twice, 3 times. You could track it down, program royalties for you. And then from the customer side, you can track it all the way back to Nike to ensure it's like a real product. Like, okay, this product, this NFT actually came to the store.
Yeah, not
And
counterfeit.
not counterfeit, which is a big problem.
Yeah.
And if the metaverse comes into play, which I think that's like 10 years down the line, that's the perfect trend. The NFT is the perfect trend, the perfect bridge from physical to digital. Meaning, I buy my whatever Nike product in real life.
Okay.
I get the NFT accomplished. ENFT with that product. My metaverse avatar now owns that NFT because each metaverse avatar is connected to a wallet. And then in the metaverse, my metaverse avatar gets the product I purchased in real life, and this works vice versa. So if I purchase something in the metaverse, my metaverse avatar gets those glasses or whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Then my in real life person has that ENFT attached to the wallet.
Okay.
And then with token gating, and token gating is essentially NFT checkouts. So I now own that NFT linked to that one product. I can go to the Nike store in real life and then claim that product because I own that NFT.
Okay.
So that's in the future. In terms of Reserve X, I just want you to think of like a loyalty program in Web3, where the NFT, again, going back to the concept that the brands gets to decide the benefits of the NFT.
Yeah.
So the customer mints the NFT, and now the customer owns the NFT, and the brand and the customer now have a direct stream of value between the brand and the customer.
Okay.
So whatever e-commerce benefits the brand wants to give to that NFT, they can totally do that. So we've seen brands do like, buy this NFT and you can claim one product, or buy this NFT and you can get continuous benefits.
Okay.
So it's really up to the brand.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. Like the third example, you like for small businesses, I think that would be also relevant.
Oh no, and honestly, this is my favorite use case because in terms of firepower, like I personally love the long tail of everything. So in terms of firepower, of course, the Fox Studios, they have the resources to hire their own development team to make everything work just because they have honestly tons of capital. But imagine you're a small business, you're just dabbling in the space, you're not really sure how this plays out, so you want to mess around, but you don't want to hire a dev team to make an NFT project that may fail. So with ShopX, you can download the app and you can launch the NFT collection without any cost to you. So the ShopX revenue model is, the app itself is free. You have to get the right amount of tokenized software licenses, but from there, you as a brand, whenever a NFT is purchased, you have control over 95% of where the funds go. And since it's on the blockchain, your wallet automatically gets paid out. So you have control over 95. So if you're working with like an influencer or an agency, or you want to program in different wallets, you can program in their wallets into the smart contract. So like, let's say like a small brand works with an influencer. They decide, okay, the influencer gets 20% of the sales, we get 75. So now the influencer has proper incentive to push the product, because whenever the pass is purchased, he automatically gets paid. So like imagine like a Nike LeBron James collab. LeBron gets 20%, Nike gets that, so LeBron's gonna start pushing the pass. ShopX earns our revenue from the 5%. So every time an NFT is sold, one brand sells one pass for $100, brand gets 95, ShopX earns $5. And then we share our revenue with our SquadX community for helping our ecosystem grow. The logic behind that is, as we get more and more brands, they make more and more passes, they earn more and more revenue, ShopX earns more and more revenue, our community earns more and more revenue in real Ethereum. And from there, they start posting, they generate a bunch of attention, creating positivity around the ShopX brand, thus generating more and more brands. So it creates like an upward spiral. And to go back to our third example, this was a brand, he had an audience on Instagram. I don't know if you're a dog lover, but his name was Husky Jackson. He's a husky on Instagram. So he had a following, but he didn't have a product or anything yet. He just had a following. So what he did is he launched his Husky Jackson pass prior to the release of his product or his Shopify, or the release of his store. So he was able to raise revenue and prove his concept before he even launched the product. Because again, like the Foxes have all the money in the world, but if you're launching a small brand, you may have another job. You may not have capital to blow. So he was able to raise money prior to the release of the store, use that to get his store started.
Okay.
And the cool thing is this proved his concept, because if people are willing to buy the pass, like, okay, they're willing to buy the product.
Yeah.
So he already had a big customer base ready to go, because he knew who his Husky pack was.
Yeah.
It's like he sold 50 NFTs. Okay, if at least 50 products are going to be sold. So that was a good way for him to get money for his project, prove his concept. And not only that, is with our NFT passes, the conversion rate is insanely high.
Yeah.
So, for example, the average e-commerce conversion rate, you would know this is like around 1.5, if that percent.
Yeah.
But with the NFT passes, because they've already bought into the brand, they already made the effort to purchase that NFT.
Yeah.
The conversion rate is around 80%, meaning if there's 500 NFT holders, around 400 people of those NFT holders will purchase that product. So it's a great way for you don't have to like guess how much products you're going to make, because you already know, okay, I got 500 NFT holders. Okay, I can guarantee a sellout by doing 200 products. Yeah. And then from there, that creates that scarcity. And with the NFT holders itself, they feel like they're part of the brand because they own that ownership aspect. So hypothetically, if the Husky brand gets massive in the future, the NFT, they could sell the NFT for an increase in profit. So they have incentive to work with the brand. So that really generates that word of mouth marketing aspect, which all brands are looking for. And I think the word of mouth marketing it's the hardest to track, because you can't really track like second and third order effects. Like, for example, I tell you about a brand, then you mention it with your mom, but because I told you about the brand, like you can't really track that. So it really generates that word of mouth marketing effect where people, they won't stop talking about your brand. So the logic behind that is, if you're on crypto Twitter, you see like communities like Bored Apes or whatever, they change their PFPs, they have emotional attachment to their NFTs to like their profile picture. You can see, and we've seen this with e-commerce brands when they do their NFT collection, same effect, but e-commerce style. So in terms of Fox, Crap Chickens, there's people changing their profile to Crap Chicken, same with the Husky, same with Mag Park. So it creates insane levels of brand loyalty.
Yeah. Like all three examples are quite good and like quite different. Like first was digital perk, like second was a limited edition, third was more like a Kickstarter. So it was, the idea is basically you sell NFTs. But I like the third one best because it's more Kickstarter and it's more inventory, like a cash positive scenario. But you need to have the audience, but still with the audience, if you can have that kind of like a pre-validation of the proof of idea, so then it really helps. Cool. I think so that's because this is a new field, so that's why when I was also looking, so I was also a little bit skeptical, and I thought that it has some implementation because there is a whole Web3 ecosystem around e-commerce, but loyalty and NFT have that kind of, but it was not visible, because NFT, when I look at, it's more about open seas and this. So I think eventually in the future, when you said about like multi-stores or like multi-brands owning the ShopX, so it can have that kind of a marketplace scenario where you can sell off the product or like sell off the NFTs and like have that tertiary like loops of buyers and like multiple subsequent purchases. So is there anything around that also in the future?
Yeah, no, and for your listeners, and this is one of the biggest benefits, in my opinion, of using NFT-powered loyalty programs, is a lot of times when an e-commerce brand uses, like they have a customer acquisition cost, essentially that's the cost to acquire the customer. A lot of times with the e-commerce brand, their customer acquisition cost is for their customer's first purchase. They actually lose money on the customer's first purchase. So the name of the game really isn't getting the customer, although it's incredibly important. The name of the game is retaining the customer. So with NFTs, because of the ownership aspect of the customer, they don't really shop anywhere else. Because not only do you get the first customer, but you get them coming back to your store every time you have a new specific drop. So think of it like a timeshare or any vacation home. If I own the timeshare, or I own whatever e-commerce, if I own the timeshare, you're staying, and you're my friend, you're going to Hawaii, I'm like, dude, you're staying in my timeshare. It's my timeshare. It's the best timeshare. Versus if I don't have a timeshare, I'm like, I don't really care. We say just any hotel. So the NFT powered loyalty programs really drive that. They drive that repeat customer, which is again what e-commerce brands will want. And I can go over where, in terms of, and again, I like to look at both the positives and negatives. In terms of where we're at as space, the reason there isn't much visibility is, we're at the very beginning of Web3 e-commerce adoption. I mean, like we're at the very beginning. Like as a space, we have a long way to go. And what was preventing the space and what still prevents the space is two things. First off, incentive.
Okay.
Like in crypto and Web3, like there's been no real reason before companies like ShopX or MoonPay for a person to interact with in Web3. Like, why would anyone ever interact with Web3?
Yeah.
So I think ShopX is helping that by adding e-commerce incentives to that.
Okay.
Like, for example, with the MagPark drop,
Okay.
over 50% of the users were 100% brand new to crypto.
Okay.
And the pass itself was 0.75 ETH, so that's around like $1,000, which is a pretty big purchase for like anyone in Web 2.
Yeah.
So over 50% of the users were brand new to crypto, but they wanted the hat that came with the NFT, so they learned how to work with the system.
Yeah.
So that incentive structure is fixed, and that'll fix itself as all the big brands come in. Like, for example, like Nike, they're already in. They can't send their customers to a terrible UI experience, otherwise it just won't work. But they have the resources to fix that.
Yeah.
And the second reason why I think crypto is not mass adopted or is taking forever is overall user interface.
Yeah.
And I've been in crypto for a while, and if any of your listeners have been in crypto for a while, and that they're being honest with themselves, they'll tell you that the user interface within crypto is just terrible. Like, for example, like you're like, where's my money?
Yeah.
It's not showing up. Okay, who do I ask? There's no customer support.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go on Reddit and find this a very specific issue that this one person had years ago. So like, it's not usable for like my mother, my grandma.
Yeah.
And so for Web3 to be successful long term,
Okay.
it has to be used in the background, like just like Web 2.
Yeah.
Like my mom has to be like tap 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 with her phone. Okay, she has her Sephora pass. Oh, the Sephora pass comes with a 10% discount.
Yeah.
Tap tap tap. She gets all of that, and she gets her makeup without even knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. That's what needs to happen long term. I would say we're still like 5 years out from that, but it's a gradually then suddenly effect. Meaning like it's terrible for a while, and it's terrible. It's not the best right now, but eventually it gets usable. And I think big brands drive mass adoption for that, then all the smaller brands have to follow. Like, for example, since Nike got into Web3, obviously Adidas had to do it as well. So I think that's just going to scale up. And with that, more dev power comes up and the whole system gets cleaned, which leads me to one of my favorite aspects of Web3.
Okay.
So Web3 is composable, and composability is essentially the compound interest of software, meaning we all work together and problems really only get solved once. Like, for example, ShopX is working with different companies in Web3 to make our software better. Like, for example, from the customer checkout in MagPark, we learned that the biggest issue for them is, again, over 50% brand new to crypto.
Yeah.
They were able to purchase the Ethereum from Coinbase, but they're like, okay, I have the Ethereum on Coinbase.
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
How do I withdraw from Coinbase? Oh, Coinbase has like a 3 to 5 business day withdrawal fee.
Yeah.
So we're just like, well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we've integrated with CrossMint.
Okay.
So that enables credit card purchases for the customer. So what happens on the back end is, technically, the customer is buying Ethereum with credit card, paying for the gas fee and credit card. The Ethereum is getting deposited to the brand, but all they see is a credit card purchase and claiming their NFT. Because in the end, ShopX is B2B2C, meaning we could sign all the brands in the world, but if they're not able to sell the NFT product or services to the customer, it's dead on arrival.
Yeah.
And I think we both know how fickle customers can be. Meaning, like, if they don't really want the product, like something doesn't work, they're like, I don't want it, and then they move on. So that process has to get seamless.
Yeah. No, it's like you made like quite good points in the terms of like the main part where when like in the terms of adoption is like one is the bigger brands, second is because NFT has that presence or that need for counterfeit and this, so there can be like Rolex and these kind of like high-end luxury brands or LV or these kind of high-end fashion brands. There's definitely for counterfeit for this, and they have a resale value also and all those things. So that's this thing. But the main part I think, which was the second point around the payment infrastructure and the user experience. So I think that's the issue with the crypto also somewhere, that it's not usable. Like, it's a investment asset, but it's not a like a commodity, or you don't have that kind of touch points where you can buy NFTs, but you can't buy physical products that much. So I think once this e-commerce bridge will get I think connected, so the implementation, and more users will come into the crypto ecosystem also, and they will have a better understanding of this thing. And I think with the credit card purchase, they don't need to know, like that can also be the case, that they don't need to know end of the day that they are buying the whole, like there are 4-5 stacks of different tech involved. So for the user, it's single is seamless experience. So cool. So
And yet, and there's one thing I do want to bring up with what you just said about the crypto payments being honestly a headache for users. That's why we implement the credit card purchase. But from the brand side, we understand that too. So we don't want to force credit card purchase or crypto purchases or anything on the brand. So what ShopX does for WooCommerce and Shopify brands is we merely token gate the checkout process. Meaning, imagine you're at a brand, you want to buy this hat. I have the pass, you don't have the pass. You go to buy the product, you try to add to cart. It says, oh, you need pass A to get to this product, and then here's a link to buy the pass if you wanted. Me, I have the pass, I go to the same product, I sign a transaction from a wallet because I have the pass, it verifies that I have the pass, and then I'm in the brand's checkout. So however the brand usually does its checkout, we don't interfere with that at all. Meaning, like, if they have any retention emails, which are super important for e-commerce brands, that's not messed with. Whatever payment systems they already have, again, totally up to the brand. So we're just token gating the checkout to again to make things as easy as possible for the customer.
Okay. No, definitely. Like, because there's a lot of like conversions and like CRO optimization and all those things going. So it's, like even a 0.5% will have a big impact. So like brands are also very sensitive about adding anything to the checkout. And I think start from the loyalty, like a post-purchase experience, and then coming back into the payment is a smarter strategy, because post-payment, you brand have already collected the payment from the customer. So then to play around with the loyalty and this thing, so then the adoption will be faster, I guess, like if we go for the payment and like a pre-purchase journey, which is more sensitive. Apart from payments and loyalty, like what's trends you feel will be applicable for e-commerce brands in Web3, or because the current experience is more about Shopify, and like for loyalty also Smile is there, and those kind of like apps are there. So how, like Web3, like the better way to put up this question is that what is needed to make Web3 happen on e-commerce? Like do we need a Shopify of Web3, or do we need a payment gateway, or we need a Klaviyo of Web3? Like what's your perfect ecosystem, or your plan, or like your vision for the Web3 e-commerce ecosystem? So
I mean, to be honest, I don't really see the reason why we need a Klaviyo for Web3. For your listeners, Klaviyo is a really it's a good email service where you can write emails for your customers and create flows like that. In terms of Web3, I don't think we need a Shopify of Web3 either. I think Shopify works fine for e-commerce brands, and to convince e-commerce brands like the big ones who are like how many brands does Shopify have? Imagine trying to convince all of them to leave Shopify to enter the crypto Web3 space. That's a tall order. I don't think anyone's going to do. So I think we're fine where we're at in the sense, or at least what ShopX is doing. We're working within Shopify. We're an app within the Shopify App Store, which allows brands to enter the Web3 space. And again, in the perfect ecosystem, I believe in power versus force, where power is where both parties win, and force is where one party loses. So like power is sustainable, force isn't. So for crypto and Web3 to be adoption, brands and their customers have to want to enter the Web3 space. And once they enter the Web3 space, each individual brand will have different needs, and either they'll build it themselves, or they'll hire a company to build it themselves, or they'll work with a company that's already done it, thus improving the Web3 ecosystem as a whole. Because again, it goes back to the Web3's composable point. If enough brands are doing that, they're tinkering around, they have different needs, enough problems get solved, then all the brands want to move into Web3. So I think that'll happen eventually.
Yeah, makes sense, Mike. Like it will be a natural course of action, but I just wanted I was just because when you plan the product roadmap, or not just the product, but like how the ecosystem or how the industry is moving in that direction. So any other space you feel good work or like exciting work is being done in Web3 in alignment with e-commerce?
I mean, it really depends. ShopX has NFT loyalty programs pretty down pat. I think we're the easiest system. I think a big trend in e-commerce is real world token assetization or assets being tokenized.
Okay.
And that's what we talked about with SourceX, which is each individual product gets its own NFT. So to summarize, I buy a Nike product, each SKU is attached to an individual product.
Okay.
Me as a person claim that NFT, so that works well with the metaverse. It works well with authentication. So like imagine like a car, you have a Lamborghini, you want to make sure all the parts are well, so you can track every single part to ensure it came from the proper dealership.
Yeah.
So you can see where everything's come from. So I think that's a big bridge.
Okay.
The reason that's going to take a lot, like NFT loyalty programs are here right now. I mean, there are
Yeah.
brands using it. It's a real revenue driver. It's real right now.
Yeah.
Like brands are using ShopX because they can create a Web3 stream of revenue
Yeah.
without even shipping a single product out, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And once they do that, it's like a gift that keeps on giving because that high conversion rate,
Yeah.
they've already bought it in, so they can continuously sell products.
Yeah.
The tokenization aspect, it takes longer because imagine like there are two ways to do it.
Okay.
The first is less efficient in the sense like imagine Nike 1,000 SKUs. Every time a user purchases a product, they get an NFT attached with that.
Yeah.
So in one example, you can mint the NFT at the time of purchase,
Yeah.
but then the brand incurs massive gas costs. The gas cost is essentially a cost for the Ethereum user to send a transaction. So obviously that's not scalable for big brands.
Yeah.
There are ways around that with L2 solutions, which are basically batching Ethereum transactions. So it'll minimize gas fees.
Okay.
Or I think the proper way to do that is to attach the ENFT on the manufacturing level.
Okay.
Which again, that takes even more time. Like, because I think you know how slow like big companies work, where it's like even one company to implement that for one product, it requires like the whole team. It requires a whole effort.
Okay.
So I think that's coming down the line. I think that's exciting.
Okay.
I think crypto payments. That's an entirely different sector. Obviously, ShopX isn't touching.
Yeah.
That'll come when the time is needed.
Okay.
And for that to happen, I think of course like the OGs will use Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that stuff. But my mom is never going to send Bitcoin. She's never going to buy anything with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen on the back end for that is she has like her Chase account.
Yeah.
She's never going to leave Chase.
Yeah.
Nor do I want her. Nor do I want her to send my MetaMask.
Yeah.
So what needs to happen on the back end is, on the back end, she has a Chase account. The Chase app has to be able to switch that US dollars into a stable coin, tap, pay the vendor. Then on the vendor's back end, they have to be able to switch that to their bank account. So that has to all be going in the back end.
Yeah.
And so technologies like Chainlink are working to make that happen. Again, back to the Web3 composable aspect.
Okay.
So I think the pieces are moving, but I think we're a ways off from mass adoption again, 4 to 5 years, in my opinion.
Okay. No, that's but still it's a like an interesting piece, and I think that clears up a lot of things. So thank you for that. In terms of matchmaking, like there was a AI matchmaking. So if you can touch upon that, I was a little bit curious that how does it impact and where does it fit? So.
Oh yeah, no, I'd love to talk about that. And since I view everyone and everything as related, so dating. So I follow my intellectual curiosity wherever that leads. That's why I have 2 projects right now. The first is ShopX, Web3 powered e-commerce.
Okay.
The second is dating, AI powered matchmaking.
Okay.
And how I was able to get involved with that project is a while back I went on a cryptocurrency podcast tour just to promote ShopX.
Okay.
And the CEO of Dating, he runs a crypto podcast as well. So I went on his podcast. We kept in touch via Instagram and like Twitter and like LinkedIn on social media. Yeah. And then all of a sudden this random dating company follows me. I'm like, what is this? So then we hopped on a quick call. I found it funny. So then we're working on dating, which is it's AI powered matchmaking.
Yeah.
And the problem it solves is pretty grand one. I think relationships are a core tenet of human happiness. Okay. And I think dating apps kind of ruined that marketplace. Like, for example, like Tinder, Hinge, the top 5% are getting all the matches, thus skewing the whole marketplace and no one's happy. Yeah. And the reason is it's all based on looks.
Okay.
So what dating does, and it goes live, we're thinking of our launch. So we actually got some funding, which is great. So we pushed back our launch date to build it properly. Okay. So we're going to launch around Valentine's Day 2-14, just because that makes the most sense.
Okay.
So with dating, it's an AI powered matchmaking service for you, and it auto creates your profile based on your social media footprint. Okay. So for example, if you wanted to use the app, you'd sign up, you'd link your Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Pinterest, whatever social media accounts you make. And then our matchmaking service will learn from your social media account and match you with matches based on who it'll think you like. So for example, I could get 3 matches, all 3 of which are okay. Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. Okay. All 4 of which went to 4-year university. and then I can learn more. And instead of swiping endlessly, like swipe, swipe, swipe,
Okay.
it'll encourage me to learn more about the matches to ensure that I'm actually matched with them. So like,
Okay.
let's say Jane interests me. I'm like, okay, tell me more about Jane. What's her music taste? And then dating will be like, okay, since both of you linked your Spotify, both of you listen to System of a Down. Oh, there's a System of a Down concert coming up in this next month in your local area. Would you like me to suggest that to Jane?
Okay.
And vice versa. So I can ask about her family life, her Instagram followers. So it's a good way to learn.
Okay.
And the cool thing about that is the more the matchmaking service is alive and the more users it gets, the better at matchmaking it gets. Yeah.
So it's more like an experience, like you are also creating a date experience. So not just not just the match. I think it's
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. The problem with current dating apps is they rely on something called churn marketing.
Okay.
So if you think of like Tinder or Hinge, how do they make their money?
Yeah.
They make their money by having you being a paid subscription.
Yeah.
And if you find a match on Tinder or Hinge, that means you can't. Hopefully, you cancel your subscription, and they lose a paying customer. So. Yeah, so their incentive is to keep people on the app and keep them unhappy. Whereas dating, we try to facilitate the match as quickly as possible. So our goal is to get them off the app and into the real world, and then from there, it also will play as like a match date planner, matchmaking. Like think of it like your dating butler. So for example, my aunt and uncle. Yeah. Like they have busy lives. It knows them both, whether they match on the app or whether they don't match on the app. Yeah. Like, hey, your favorite restaurant is having a sale on your favorite food. You may want to suggest as a date night. Yeah. Hey, the music band you like is in town. Yeah. Type of thing. Yeah. So it'll play after the match as well.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I think there is there's a need in there is a space which is not catered that much, and there can be I think with the experience, and there are a lot of companies which have worked on experiences. I think more like a travel experiences, and there is always a generic experiences, but there is very little experience tailored for 3-4 people as such, or even group activity or single, but it's always there are these many concerts, these are a listing kind of a thing, like web 1.0, not even 2, I would say. So anywhere, if we have somewhere a match or a custom this thing which can have a connection with both, that would make sense. That would really make sense. So cool.
And yeah, long term, it can also function as a community app. So if you're a man, you're a woman, you want to meet some friends with similar interests, it's going to be able to suggest that too. It's like, hey, all three of you went to the same restaurant. Hey, all three of you like anime. Yeah. We suggest you hang out, and then it's a lot. So it's I see it as it's going to be able. Yeah, it's going to facilitate connection between people with like-minded interests. Yeah. Which I view as important right now.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's and there is a lot of things around AI. So this year has been very there has been lot of disruption in terms of AI, and especially for marketing. So what's your take at the current stage of AI? Where is it, and what's the shortcomings, and how you use it?
I love using AI for marketing. It makes my day so much easier. Yeah. So the way I view AI used for marketing is it really empowers the creativity of an individual. Like for example, like me, you, we could be a one-man marketing machine. Yeah. Where in the past, let's say I have an idea, I have a concept, I'm like, okay, how do I get this onto paper? Okay, I have to hire a bunch of copywriters. I have to hire graphic designers. Yeah. But now, for example, hey, AI, give me 30 images and I want these characteristics. Okay, I like image B. Yeah. Image B, make this more of this, make it more subtle, make it more purple, make it more interesting, and then you can just continuously reiterate. Yeah. So in terms of graphic design and images, I think that really scales it up for the individual. Yeah. And as well as copywriting emails and all that good stuff. For example, I think but if your listeners don't know, the way to properly do an email campaign or an ad campaign is try 5 to 10 different things, and then just whichever one has the best number, best data, best results. Yeah. You just hammer that home, and you just kind of run with that one. Yeah. So with that, it really scales up. I can just write many different copies very easily. Yeah. But so where we're at with AI is I also believe I believe everything is a vibration, everything's a frequency, everything's a force. Okay. So I think content you write has those, if I write something it's a certain frequency, and then you as a user subconsciously pick it up. So I don't think AI should be done without human interaction, meaning like, sure, the AI may write the base, but then I come in and edit the final version and make it more personal and authentic to myself. So that's how I view everything plays together.
But where you feel the shortcomings are like where you want it to be and it's not there, or where you feel that it's messes up or like it's not there yet?
I mean, really just the initial message, getting the brain dump of people, like the connection between me to the AI. It takes a bunch of iterations. Like, it's like, no, this is not what I wanted. I wanted this. I want this specific tone. So AI can get a lot of content down. Where it struggles is, it seems pretty robotic. Like, whenever I write something with AI, it's like, okay, that's there. And it also it struggles with the tonality and subtleness of the email. Meaning, like, when you write a certain email, obviously there's like a specific tone. So that it struggles to pick that up. But where it's really good is it can A, enhance what you've already written, and B, it's really good. Obviously, it's really good with grammar in the sense like, okay, all the typos are gone.
Yeah, definitely. And in the terms of this thing, it's also about what you input is, and it's not connected like a pipe. So you have to do a research separately, then you have to build the outline, then you again have to feed it. Like the memory angle, I think is where the shortcoming is around. It doesn't have a big memory like the input part, so you have to keep on putting up the input. It's not that you can tell that I'm working on this project for next 15 days. I want around this thing, like so it's more around you have to start the learning again and again. So
exactly. So right now AI is like a one and done type thing, where if I want to write a one-time image with one email attached, it's really good at that. But if you're in email marketing, so if you're crafting like a whole email campaign, like the whole flow, thing, like mixing those together, like it's not great at that right now. I mean, like at that point, I just kind of rather do it myself. But I do think eventually I'll get good at creating like email campaign flows, which again, in terms of marketing, are super important, because obviously very few people respond to the first email, so you usually get them on the 5th, 6th, or 7th touch point. So AI can be better at creating those flows or editing those flows or adjusting the time frame. But in the future, I could see it creating those flows and being like a chatbot style of email marketing where it can respond based on like if-then statements. But I think that's a ways off.
Like there's because it's just from a I think conditional logics, and this is not currently in the logic system. So what's your experience with the email marketing? Like so you have in the terms of automations one is the role it plays in the retention side of things. Second, in the terms of like you mentioned about the automation side of things, so how both are, and what's your go-to retention strategy using email, or what's your how much email also along with ShopX? Like I'm loading up 2-3 questions, but like also along with ShopX, how the email plays with the loyalty program whole ecosystem.
So in terms of my experience with email, I've done email campaigns for ambassador programs, as well as created email flows for specific e-commerce brands. In terms of ShopX, it's kind of different. So I just think of email as another touch point. Like the more touch points you get with the customer, obviously the better. So if you get email, that's a piece of the pie. If you get SMS, that's a piece of the pie. If you get them following your social media, that's a piece of a pie. And I think each email campaign should have a specific intention or goal from each individual email, rather than just sending the customer out into the ether. ShopX is really relatively different, because again, we're B2B2C. So we advise the brands to, like whenever a brand, like they have their NFT customers, like, okay, you want to include this in your email campaign, you want to do your social media posts about that. So we will offer consultations on that aspect, like, hey, just treat this like a normal product. Like the first time they see this, like they're like, what is this? But just include that in like a normal email flow. If you do a good job with that, with good how-tos, because it's new, that tends to work out well. These ShopX email flows, again, we're B2B2C. So we have a newsletter that, and I personally like HubSpot. If you can't afford HubSpot, Klaviyo is good. Klaviyo and MailChimp are obviously the big go-tos. If you're a smaller company and you want a chat bubble feature, like Intercom is also good, where you can do email flows. Like Interflow, you get the chat bubble for customers, as well as the email campaign flow. So in terms of ShopX, we have 2 email strategies. The first is like a mailing list with people generally interested in crypto, because we have the tokenized software license aspect, meaning the more people who join our community, the more people help our ecosystem grow, the more everyone wins, the more ETH they earn. And so we have a lot of people from just various like crypto meetups and who are interested in crypto in general. So that's one email flow. So we do that on a monthly basis, so like monthly updates, all that stuff.
Okay.
Of course, you don't want to annoy your customers by just sending too many emails.
Yeah.
In terms of the brand flow, so of course we have two ways to get brands. The first is generic lead outreach, and that's common amongst all software platforms. Meaning we have our service like I personally like Cognicism. So obviously you get a target list of brands, you scrape their emails, you craft a specific email for each individual brand, you plug their name into a template, and then you fire off templates to you do your cold email approach to everyone at the company. And the goal of that is it kind of, I found it usually bangs around in the company. I mean, like you can be marketing for the company, but like you're like, what is this? And you forward it to someone who'd actually deal with it. So I like the mass approach, and from there with tools, of course, you can see
if
who
someone
opens
engages.
it, who clicks on links, how many times. Yeah, and then you send then they go into a different follow-up flow based on what they do. So it's really about making flows. And our other sources, inbound leads, referrals, we usually do a one-off type of thing where it's like if you refer us a brand, of course, through a phone respond email, they don't really get a flow, they just get logged as like a high interest lead. Yeah. But we also have app downloads, so whenever someone organically downloads the Shopify or WooCommerce app, they get put into a separate flow. So it's really about just crafting good flows and optimizing the flows as time goes on with some one-off emails. Like if something big comes up on Web3, we're to share it. A brand successful, it's like, hey, check out what this brand did.
And in the terms of, like you mentioned, referrals, so I just had a thought around that. How Web3, like how this program can be used, like how NFTs have any implementation in referral program? Because you mentioned about something about the affiliate that they can track if some brand tie up with Kobe or like this, so they can track the collections. But is there any application around referral program or affiliate program where we can track and everything? So.
Yeah, so the way our software works is, and this goes back to the concept of Web3. It means it's pseudo-anonymous, meaning if you really wanted to find out who owns a wallet address or who owns a specific Bitcoin, you usually can, but you can't just like look at everyone type of thing. So you have to pick. So with Web3, since it is programmable data, anyone can make that purchase, meaning if you wanted to purchase a brand's NFT, anyone can anonymously use any wallet and make that purchase. So it's hard to track. But since we are integrated with Shopify and their checkout, so when the NFT, like let's say I have the Nike NFT, I want the specific product, I then sign my transaction, go to the checkout. That NFT is now connected with that checkout, and then as a brand, and it's something we're building in the future, is you can get all those data points. So you can know which NFTs made those purchases, your loyal customers, and then from there. Goes back to flows. You can create NFT flows around the data you get from those NFTs.
Okay, but if you are running a referral program, or like you are asking someone else to promote and then share a cut, or like share a referral fee. So is there any implementation around that in Web3 using NFTs?
So hypothetically, let's use ShopX example. Are you asking, like, let's say I'm working at the brand, I'm promoting the NFTs, I want to make sure that I get recognized or paid.
Yeah, like like affiliate, Amazon affiliates have this thing. So So from there.
Cool. So to go off a tangent, one of the startups I worked with in the past, it replaced affiliate codes and kept it all on one particular link. And the issue with that is we found out those affiliate codes don't actually track. Like the backend's a mess. But so you're an influencer, you're working at the brand, you want to track where the links go to. So if you're selling the NFT, you do have that option where you can program in your wallet to the smart contract. So if someone purchases that NFT, you made that purchase. But let's say that's not on the table. From there, since as a brand you get a affiliate link, you like your NFTs will be like ShopX.brand / whatever you want to call it. So there are ways to create branch links off of that, meaning me as an affiliate, I get my affiliate branch link off of that. So I know which traffic comes to that. So that's obviously possible. It's just more of a custom solution.
Okay. And like you mentioned about, is there any implementation around SaaS, like software as service? Not for e-commerce, but like for SaaS based industries?
What do you mean by implementation?
Like a loyalty program implementation, or like the payment, like everything around Web3. So if we use the same use case, and instead of e-commerce, if we look at SaaS industry, so how does this impact, and what implementations you see?
Okay, I mean, what SaaS platform would you want to use as an example?
Like,
Just so you
let's
can have
use
reference.
Dropbox. Let's use Dropbox.
Which
Or
one?
Dropbox or Slack.
Yeah. Slack, I like Slack, or Discord, because those are pretty common chat apps.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in a company, you're using Discord, you're using Slack. You want specific access to specific people, so you can token gate specific channels to the NFT. Meaning, like, if you want only marketing to have a specific channel, marketing can get an NFT. Only marketing gets access to the channel.
Okay.
Leadership, finance, you could all do that. You can create a token gating system with that. Long-term NFT badges could be NFTs, meaning there's an expiration date so that you can scan to get in those.
Okay.
You can't steal them, you can't lose them. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think those are the two main. If you can obviously set up like a referral system around there. If you're a SaaS platform, it can be an additional source of revenue for your customers, meaning, okay, you're a loyal customer.
Okay.
We're airdropping specific new trades for this product. You can be the first one to get. You can be the first one to sample those out.
Okay.
So my mind works around e-commerce just because that's a base, but it's a new technology. There's a way to do anything, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I was just curious, like from this industry perspective, because this and like in the terms of ad algorithm, because there has been a lot. I was curious about like what was your work, and how like what's your take on current ad algorithm, because every marketer you meet, like in paid marketing, is worried about the algorithm. Even the influencers are. So you worked with ad algorithm, so how does it look, and what's your experience around it? So
Yeah, so I did some and again, that was like a while ago, so
Okay.
it's definitely changed.
Okay.
It's an interesting topic. I don't want to spill the beans too much on Snapchat, but of
Okay.
course the goal of the algorithm is you get a big hook at the beginning.
Okay.
The quicker you get that hook, the more likely they are to stay towards the end, and it's really just about playing around the hook until you get a good one.
Okay.
In terms of the ad algorithm and where blockchain is as a whole, that's part of the reason. So we focus on grassroots marketing again, like because influencers, they get paid too much. In terms of targeting ads on Instagram, we found that to be a black hole with ShopX because of the overall sentiment of the bear market. Meaning, like, bear market's relatively negative for crypto.
Okay.
So just awareness, it's just not the bang for your buck. So we were focusing on we were focusing on like word of mouth and grassroots marketing.
Okay.
But yeah, right now I think it's one of those subjects that are being shadow banned and just kind of pushed by the powers that be. But as it gets more and more common, more and more people demand via groundswell, I think that'll switch, and then it'll kind of pick up.
Okay. No, makes sense. But is there any hack to like hack the algorithm, or like make it like there is any advantages or anything which you can play around to get it favorable to you, or have it a more favorable, like lower the CPMs, or like higher click rates, or anything like that,
Yeah, so obviously SEO is very important, and each social media platform. So my favorite hack, and you'll love this, is I love to go on podcasts.
Okay.
So whenever the podcast host knows the ShopX links and all that stuff, it creates a backlink, makes ShopX seems more popular, more likely to show up in Google search. So that creates a ton of Google searches.
Yeah.
Which is I like podcasts, but that's a reason.
Okay.
In terms of algorithm, again, you'd have to go platform by platform. I think the biggest hack you can do is find the person who's good at each specific platform and then get them on your team. Because it's very hard to be good at, and again, for example, I'm terrible at TikTok.
Okay.
I don't have a TikTok. I don't know anything about TikTok.
Yeah.
But the guy we have on TikTok, he understands the algorithm from personal learning experience. Like, he was able to grow his own channel, and he learned the tricks of the trade from incentive to grow his own channel. So the hack would be to find the people who are good at it.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, so and they keep on changing, and it's a black box, and there is a lot of
it's constant changing. You just have to just be aware of it. You have to just be constantly aware. It's like, okay, why do you think? And just always think, it's like, why do you think this one did good? Why do you think this one did good? This one did good today, but it did poorly yesterday. Why is that? So just be constantly aware. And I think, and with all of advertisement, it's a bunch of A/B testing. It's just A/B testing for days.
Yeah. Like it's and there is always some favorite of the platform. So some brands like YouTube was pushing live earlier, then now shorts they were pushing, now they are trying to push like long. So they keep on algos because people trick the algo, and then they keep on changing the algo. So
a good way to go viral is something I call the thunderclap.
Okay.
And that's to get a mass amount of influence to do the same thing, the same style of content at the same point early, just so it gets picked up. So like, for example, if we were trying to do that for dating, and that's what we're going to do, is like you have to find like the person, like, because a lot of influencers have like an agency, meaning that one person controls like 20 to 30 influencers.
Yeah.
So you would craft them with your specific content, and then you give it to the person who kind of runs the agency, and then they would teach their influencers how to do this and when to post at the same time.
Yeah.
So then the social media app thinks that's trending, that's what's hot, that's what's getting the views.
Yeah.
And then from there you show up in the discover feed, but obviously you need a bunch of stuff for that. First, you need good engaging content.
Yeah.
You need access to those specific influencers. A cool tip I like to use, and I guess this is more of a trade secret, is this is how a song will get viral.
Okay.
Is imagine like the music industry, and my friends in the music industry told me this, but whatever. So what they'll do is like imagine like a TikToker, like the TikTok itself is going viral, and they that's all manufactured. So they'll put like a random song at the beginning, like the lyrics to that. So as it goes viral, people are like, what is this song? So that's a good way to get music careers or music songs off the ground while seemingly be organic.
That sounds good. That sounds I think because shorts have that kind of a like a lingering effect. So if it's like captivates you, so there is a this that people will look up and try to figure it out. So
and just a tip that I personally use is, I think that shorts and Instagram, I think of your brand as programmable. So it's either you get to choose it's the shorts programming you, it's this podcast programming you, the content you consume is slowly programming you.
Yeah.
So I went through my Instagram and whatever media thing, and I just went through and like, okay, how many of these shorts, how these Instagram stories add value to my life?
Okay.
It turns out it's very little, if not zero. So what I like to do is I like to time box my social media usage. In the sense, like for example, like I run the ShopX Twitter, I post on LinkedIn pretty consistently. Yeah. I'm in and I'm out. Yeah. So I don't mindlessly scroll. So I do my thing, I post, and I'm off. Other stuff.
So it's a creator mindset, like instead of a consumer mindset. So you have to get that creator mindset to shine on social media, and like 1% is creator and 99% are consumers. So we need to get into the creator mindset, but still it's a captivating and like it's a rabbit hole once you get sucked into it. So it can suck up a lot of time. So that's there. But any other social media, because from a social media perspective, like as a marketer also, and also for ShopX as a like a B2B, B2C brand. So what's one is the podcasting you mentioned, like in the terms of marketing strategy, but any other for businesses similar to you, or like your go-to marketing strategy in the terms of social media?
Yeah, so it really depends. Like, again, it always depends back on the platform. Like, for example, if you're doing targeted ads, Instagram and Facebook actually really crush it with that, in the sense that if you need to target a specific demographic of people, Instagram and Facebook, they do really well. Whereas TikTok, while that has the reach, isn't the best for that. So a good strategy I like to use is targeted ads via Instagram and Facebook. But influencer marketing, I like to use TikTok. But ShopX is different just because we have the community aspect and we have the brand aspect. So I like to divide it up. So if you go to the ShopX Twitter, you can tell that it's geared for obviously people in the crypto community. But if you go to the ShopX Instagram, that's geared towards brands, because if you're a brand, a lot of times you just check the Instagram and it's like, okay, make sure it's there, make sure it's legit. Whereas like honestly, e-commerce brands really aren't using Twitter. So it's all about compartmentalizing, find out what works with each platform, and then just doubling down on what works. And again, you find the right people on each platform and you should be golden.
Okay. Cool. I think that's it. It was really helpful. So last is around the trends for 2020, because we are recording this at the end of the year. So like 3 marketing trends you want to like put your like put your weight behind. So for 2024, like where you feel, the trend is there, trend is going, and what's your like three big trends you will bet on for 2024?
The biggest one I'm personally interested in is AI-based agencies and influencers.
Okay.
Meaning, as one person, I can create an agency and they can create an infinite amount of influencers who look and feel like a person.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can, if you do it properly, there's a way to scale it up with one person where each individual influencer, you can create reels and videos using AI. So you incorporate all of AI from the creation of the influencer to the content they create, and then from there, they just kind of live in the reels.
Okay.
So I want to use that, and I want to create. The way I look at it is I want to create like thousands of landing pages for both ShopX and dating that live organically on Instagram and all that. So I want to be able to create, but like I can create influencers now, but it's just hard to scale. Like once you figure out how just like automatically creating, that'll be cool. Obviously the downsides are Instagram will probably try to prevent that. So it's going to be constantly a learning experience. So I'd say AI-based content is the biggest trend. That's also a double-edged sword. So if you're a listener, be careful what you see. Because certain powers will show you good stuff, but certain powers will show, they know that rage bait clicks. So they may show you false content, fake content. So just be very careful. AI-based influencers are the biggest trend. Honestly, people hate on email marketing just because they say it's all. But honestly, email and SMS, I see them always being important. Like they're always going to be a core staple of your marketing strategy. Again, the more touch points you have, the better. So that's going to be focused. I want to learn how to make those AI automated though, or enhance them with AI, meaning like creating like more of a chatbot communicative aspect. The downside is going back to what I said, where it's like you still kind of want to have a person to read. Because sometimes the AI can spit out some dumb stuff. You're just like, why did you say that? So you kind of need the humanized stuff, but eventually that'll go away. In terms of Web3 marketing, I like Web3 because it really focuses on the community and really helps word of mouth marketing, which is hard to track. So like CMOs kind of hate it. They're just like, oh, impressions, fails, so on. Well, I'm like, okay, fine, but my counter to that is like, the second, third, fourth order effect. Like you don't know who purchased an NFT. You don't. And I view those effects as honestly more important. It's like I think that's really how you get. So those are my big three. AI, incorporating AI into email marketing, and I guess building strong communities.
Just to add on the first one, because I agree, like I look forward to all three all three trends. But for AI-based influencer, like that was the most interesting part, because when we look at AI, so idea was that it might not have that influencer because AI is currently like just rehashing stuff. It's not like a new thought over there, or it's just like what's available on the internet. It's just like repackaging, but there is no original research as such. So the idea was that it might not have that expert positioning as a AI, but I have also heard like a lot of case studies around last 2 months where like 1 or 2 million subscribers, and it's a completely AI based profile, and everything AI is doing, and it's looks like a 18-year-old like a teenage account, but it's a complete AI managed account. So
I mean, in terms of like, of course you don't have that much like, obviously you can't get the level of thought you want on an AI-based influencer just constantly pumping out content. But in this strategy, obviously it's the name of the game is quantity in this one. You just want to be picked up in people's Reels feed. And then you want to have like a link in your bio, or just like it's another funnel system. I like funnels. Funnels are cool.
Cool. I think that's but there is a lot of thing, and I think there will be a trend, like at least what you meant about the quantity game is that in the terms of the influencers and the like fashion, and I think the lifestyle based influencers, it's more about like exotic locations, and where the AI based model can have a major impact, which normal human can't travel that much. So I think there is a lot of AI based influence, but that's a interesting field, and let's see where it lands up in 6 months. So I think so It's a interesting field to look out for, and there will be a lot of improvement, like a development in next 6 months. Like with AI, it's changing every month. So let's see where it's land up in the next 6 months. The AI based influencer marketing. So thank you so much for being here, and we had a very nice in-depth discussion on e-commerce, Web3, entrepreneurship, and boost brand loyalty. And if listeners want to look out or check out Eric's website, so you can go to shopx.co, and you can visit and you can have a trial of the services, and it's really a game changer. Like the Web3 and the loyalty based Web3 loyalty, like Web3 based loyalty program, are definitely a way to go forward in the future. So thank you. Anything else, Eric, you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I just hope all your listeners have a wonderful day and a wonderful life. And my goal is to be as helpful as possible. So feel free to reach out on ShopX or any of the social media company handles, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you.